when you look at the whole ecosystem of entrepreneurship in Ghana, there's huge players. But naturally, everybody looks at the hubs. So you're looking at the likes of the MEST, the Impact Hubs, iCode, iSpace, Hope and Academy, you get Kumasi Hive, just to mention a few. And pretty much scattered across the nation. But then obviously you also have to look at the academia as well. So you look at Legon, they doing their own incubation programs over there. So I guess it's a patchwork of different stakeholders. And then you have the government also getting involved, either through NEIP, and then they having their own space with the Accra Digital Center. So I think we have a mixed bag of stakeholders in that sense.
I think the ecosystem, the entrepreneurial ecosystem in Ghana, it's still in its infancy. I think it has numerous challenges, but that also gives room for opportunities.
You see a lot of young people want to start and doing something. That itself is a big opportunity for us. And a few players coming in. I mean, now we have quite a number of hubs. We have incubators.
I believe the ecosystem is actually growing. About 10 years ago, I don't think it is what it is right now. At the moment, you see a lot of people are really charged up to provide solutions to some of the problems they find, either in the agriculture space, tech space, fintech space. It's really growing. So I would say that the entrepreneurship ecosystem is now evolving. People are really understanding what it means. I mean, learning from our mothers, from the market and all of that. Now they're adding value to whatever they're building. So it's really evolving currently.
And the multiplicity of actors in that ecosystem generally means that we all have to work together.
So the Venture Capital Trust Fund is a fund of funds. What we noticed within the entrepreneurial ecosystem generally was the fact that there's lack of investment funds. And I think at some point the government realized that we need to come in to ease access to long-term funding, so especially very early stage businesses. And some of them are not really quite ready yet for debt. And so the idea is to try to promote equity investment within this segment of the market.
The role of hubs in the whole entrepreneurial ecosystem is something that can never be underestimated, right? Because we provide resources that naturally most of these entrepreneurs will never be able to access. So you're looking at things like training programs, getting them route to access to funding. And we work more than just being a co-working space. Unlike maybe in other countries where an entrepreneur is more rounded, here is, I would say, they're very rough around the edges. So the hubs are there to ensure that they produce a conducive environment for entrepreneurs to be able to kind of thrive in that sense.
I think the first one has to do with mentorship. Not all the startups get the right mentors to help them understand how to build their business from scratch to the end. Some might be looking at investments, they need investors, but are their businesses really viable to really get the right investors that they need? So more of it is from mentorship bit and also providing them with the right group of people who really find their businesses really viable and they want to invest in. I think there are a lot of programs, accelerator programs that are available that we share with our members because we believe in capacity building. So if we understand this is what you're doing and you need that experience, we draw from our pool of network to share some of these opportunities with them so they can take advantage of to grow their business.
Let me clarify one thing. We are not saying that the entrepreneur must have all the skills required in the business. Obviously, you require operational skill. I think that is what is lacking the most, right? So you have, sometimes it's about leadership skill, that how to lead people, how to motivate and energize them to grow. You require skills in selling. You require skills in the use of technology. We also require skills in just the sheer rudiment of day-to-day operations. Those are the things that you require. And more importantly, how to manage money. I think that is one area where we lack the most.
So let's start with infrastructure. I know that now there are lots of programs that are offering shared working spaces, which is great, because when you start out, if we had this in the beginning, that would have been wonderful. We were a small team. As we grow, though, these solutions that exist currently, we don't fit into any of those spaces. We need a space that's big, like currently we're working from a 4-bedroom house. We've reached the point where we need to find a bigger space. And none of these shared working spaces would give us that. At most, you'd have a few offices. And so just looking at just infrastructure, I think that what's missing is typically the solutions that exist are for the very early stage businesses, the idea stage. But once you start to grow, there's a gap. And it shows when you go into funding, it shows that it's easy to get funding of maybe $5,000, $10,000, $20,000. As soon as you need like $200,000, people want to give $1 million because they'll tell you that the kind of due diligence they have to do for $200,000, it's just like they would do for 1 million. So then they would rather do the 1 million tickets. So there's a gap for the middle, that business that has proven that it has a market, that it's growing, and now there aren't the support systems that it needs.
So coordination is lacking. So infrastructure deficit is a key issue. There's a gap in the financing part of the ecosystem, and more of institutions are doing something, but they are not seeing the government as a player.
The skill sets gap is not in the fact that there are no human resources. It is in the fact that the conditions of work does not seem to favor the available resources. And then also the fact that the people who train with these skills don't seem to appreciate or have the essential skills to thrive when they are employed.
The gaps in our ecosystem, again, is us working together. And it stems from the fact that a lot of the hubs based in Accra tend to classify themselves as the stronger hubs, right? So, and funding has always kind of played that role. So what you find is a lot of the bigger hubs now feel like they don't have to work with the smaller hubs. And so when I'm running a program, I don't need you per se, and we're not working together. So then that creates replication of programs. So you might find iSpace is doing a program on women and tech. Then you go to, let's say, Kumasi Hive doing exactly the same thing. And it's almost like copy and paste is what we're doing, when in reality we can train people in the South and then move them on to hubs that can specialize in that sense. And I think funding is the reason why we see all of this missing gap. So I think if we can find a way where all the hubs can come together and then say, okay, this is what I'm good at, this is what you're good at, how can we then bring those expertise on board to ensure that the ultimate goal is to support the entrepreneur. So us working together is what we need to do. And that is looking at how we can draw our resources as opposed to doing what the funders want us to do.
Collaboration is one of the key things that we usually talk about, but it's really hard to practice. And for some reason, people will share their personal perspective when it comes to that. I think the Ghana Hub Network serving as an umbrella, working with multilateral companies trying to bring opportunities into the space to help startups grow is a good thing. But when it comes to the startup level, they need to find the soft spots where they can, burn bridges to collaborate, so then whatever they're working on tries. Because I bet you it's not about you going after the money that you want, but about providing viable, products for your customers.
As an entrepreneur, you must not know everything, but sometimes we want to do everything, and everything comes back to you. Give responsibility, delegate to people, hold them accountable.
Now, there's a completed policy document on entrepreneurship policy and MSME, that's a micro, small, and medium-scale enterprise policy in place, which I believe that within the next month it will be launched for it to be operational. And this policy is going to guide how startups and the MSA space works. So in the area of policy, government is also championing some few things to be able to ensure that we get that aspect also working.
The rise of the female techs and female CEOs, seeing that, for me, It's exciting because, and what I'm about to say, I don't want my male counterparts to take it personally. I think men generally create stupid businesses, right? We create businesses that solve no problem whatsoever. We want to focus on AI and all of those other stuff, great. But when you turn to see is women entrepreneurs create social impactful businesses straight away. Businesses that are not sexy, but they're very impactful.
To win a business plan competition doesn't make you own a business. We pump money into some of these programs, and at the end of the day, we don't have any business to show. And to be frank with you, there's so many people that you see who are business winners. I mean, they have won several of these competitions, but they don't have any business to show because the effort alone that they put in to continuously run after these programs is not helpful. So maybe we should begin to scale that back and begin to see how do we work together as ecosystem players to build few accelerators and get incubators to work.